Hey guys, welcome back from Daytona Beach. Today I've got a twofer. This is the 2018 Goldwing. This is the DCT model, and after this I'm on a 6-speed. This is a 7-speed DCT, so it'll be a kind of a combo. What I'm going to do is give you my thoughts on comparing the two. I'm just reading this as navigation being initialized. I don't need navigation. So I've got the ignition on. DCT is basically do nothing. They didn't set the parking brake, so I don't have to release that. Should be able to just start it. Tap once and start her up. Bada bing, bada boom. This is pretty much like, I've been given a briefing on it, pretty much like a Tiptronic semi-automatic car. It's pretty simple. There's no clutch. There's really nothing to do. I'm in neutral right now. It has an automatic and a semi-automatic mode. You've got paddle shifts here, basically. They're thumb here and finger actuated for up and down shifting. And it's kind of a combo mode. If you're in a manual mode and you come down to an emergency stop, it kind of takes over and puts it in neutral for you at a stop. So it is semi-smart. Obviously, it has a ton of features, but a lot less buttons than the old version. This is much more a normal bike. Really dig the looks of this. It is a choice touring bike. So over here we've got the automatic manual selector switch. I'll be going through that on the ride, testing out the various settings. Cruise control, won't be setting that. We've got heated seat and grips. Don't need to test that. It's warm out today. These are navigation controls. It does have a great audio system. I'm not going to turn that on for copyright reasons, but you've got your volume and source selector and mute button. Front and rear speakers, works great. Brights, flash to pass. Power windscreen, hello. Look at that. Honda joined the 21st century. Pretty much exact same speed and range of motion as the FJR for a comparison. Very good. Dig that. Great looking dashboard. Just like the old version, it looks like a car, except this one looks like a modern car instead of a 15-year-old car. Great looking dash. Nice big analog gauges. Tack on the right, and it is kind of weird how it starts up high and sweeps down low. Nice big analog speedo. Typical trip computer type stuff over here. Nice big legible fuel gauge. It has the black LCD, which I'm not a big fan of. Kawasaki's using a bunch of that this year too. It's just hard to read. So I'm going to go into drive. Defaults into first. Feet up. And we're off. Right away, digging the fact that it's got nice big pegs instead of floorboards. I really detest floorboards on bikes. These are comfy. They're like double-sized pegs. Great on the feet. Engine is pretty much a torquey stump puller. I mean, I'm just breathing on the throttle. It's just brrr. So it is weird not having any clutch to grab. I'm instinctively raising my fingers and having to think about not doing it. So I'm in tour mode right now, and it feels a little laggy. It's very smooth. This would be something for passenger use for sure. I'm going to put this windscreen up because it is very noisy. And now it's silent. Oh, very much like the FJR. It's weird to hear it shift. You can't feel it shift at all. Which side are you going to be on, dude? Okay. So it's in fifth now. I'm going to switch modes here. It's got a button. Where to go? Oh, up here by the finger. So you roll off the throttle and it will change modes. Kind of goes into a prep if you're on the throttle at all. It'll blink. So it's in sport mode now, which is the most responsive. There is a little bit of engine response as it downshifts. A little jerky there as you're coasting to a stop into first as it goes into first gear. Very plush, cushy suspension. Standing up, I've got maybe about 3 inches underneath me. A lot more responsive throttle here in sport, just cracking the throttle. The whole bike raises up, front and rear, when you give it throttle. Reminds me of like an old Supra. Very strange. This does have a unique suspension. Kind of like the BMWs, where it's a wishbone. So it has a lot of anti-dive properties. And I have to say, that's working. Just coming to a stop, this is obviously a very heavy bike, something like 900 pounds. Front end does not dive whatsoever as it actually comes to a stop. Just kind of glides on a couch. And it is extremely plush. I'm bouncing it like 3 inches here. Lot of room for preload, let me put it that way. I'm 250 pounds, which is probably typical for a Goldwing rider. You're definitely in a Goldwing crew with arm signals. Where are the signals? There they are. I love the way the signals actually look on the back of the bike. Very sharp. The styling of this is exceptional, in my opinion. It's got a real howl to it when you get on the brakes. Brakes actually feel really good. You can tell the weight of the bike, but they have an excellent bite. So comfort-wise, as you would probably expect, extremely comfy in the saddle, at least for me. Can't speak to all-day comfort. I know it's strange to me that a lot of Goldwing owners actually completely scrap the stock seat and put on aftermarkets, but to me, oh my gosh, this stock seat is just a cloud. It's like sitting on a pillow top mattress. I can't imagine anyone wanting cushy. Well, maybe if you're like 400 pounds, I don't know. I'm only 250. I say only because I've seen a lot bigger Goldwing riders. You know what I mean? This has a really good width to it, at least for me. I'm 6'2", 32-inch inseam, and it's on the wide side, especially in the front of the saddle towards the seat. I'm sitting, you know, man-spreading style, and I really can't put my legs together. The saddle is that wide, and it has a square feel to it. It's not a sculpted saddle. My legs don't have anywhere to actually cup or contact the bike itself, but it's comfortable. I mean, just sitting here, I'm completely relaxed, and the pegs are extremely wide. Trying to hit these bumps here to test a little bit of the suspension, and it's just gliding over everything. It really does feel like an old Cadillac. Not like a modern Cadillac, because they're actually pretty sporty now, but yeah, back in the 80s, you didn't feel anything on the road on a Cadillac. I grew up in Detroit, and Cadillacs back in the day, man, they were made for Detroit roads. If you know anything about Detroit roads, you know what I'm talking about. This feels like that. It's just gliding over everything. You don't even really feel the road. It's gonna take me a little while to get used to that weird transmission jerk as it comes down. It's very much like if you're in a semi-automatic car and you manually shift it down into first, and you get that well, it does that for you automatically here. It's not like it's shifting into neutral while it's coasting. Feels like it actually shifts into neutral maybe at 1 mile an hour or at an actual stop. So let's go into the manual mode here. So now it's not going to automatically shift. I have to use these paddles. So I'm in first. It should allow me to just wind it up, just like a regular transmission, except I've got 7 gears here to play with. This is a very short first gear. Very short second gear. Okay, the entire transmission is closely spaced. Not too surprising. Dude, what are you doing? This is why they say no slingshotting in the middle of a group, dude. Very smooth shifts. I mean, it's just like an automatic transmission in a car. I actually like the automatic mode in this better because the gears are so closely spaced. You have to pay attention. Now here I'm still in manual mode and I'm testing that automatic downshift, and it did. I didn't touch that, you saw? I'm going to go back into automatic mode, so now it's in drive, and it will do everything for me. It does have an electric reverse also. Very handy for these super heavy bikes, for sure. Nice digital joystick here for all your navigation and computer needs. Of course, exceptional connectivity to both Android and iPhones. Not going to go through any of that. A lot of wind ventilation. It's exceptionally quiet here with the stock windscreen. I have absolutely no wind. The bike, when it shifts, you can feel it in the suspension. You really can't feel it through the frame. You can't feel the gears shifting. That's testament to the dual clutch nature. It's always engaged. There's no lag in the actual power delivery. But it's so smooth, and the suspension with the anti-dive is working, so the whole bike just feels like you hit a little dip in the road as it shifts. It's kind of cool. Very upright seating position. My ankles are directly underneath my knees, and my legs are pretty much straight forward. Like I said, I've got a 32-inch inseam. Dude, come on. Gotta keep the group together, man. Alright, I think they're gonna let us get on it here. Here we go. Let's see what we got. Go, dude. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. The one time we get to get on it. Surprisingly agile here. Very neutral through the corners, but you feel the weight. It shifts its weight. It's very controlled, but it feels wallowy. Let me put it that way. It's smooth, it's comfortable, but you know that you're on a very heavy, massive bike. Nothing I would call flickable, but very controlled. Mirrors are excellent, as to be expected. They are both wide and large, and they're very far forward. So you've got all three combined with the absolute perfect sight picture. Rock solid, of course. See absolutely none of my arm. A little bit of a lag there on the downshift. Even here in sport mode, when you get on it, it wants to try to pull in the gear it's in instead of immediately downshifting. Now, it's not going all the way up into top gear in automatic here. I'm still in 4th out of 7th. So it will intelligently keep the RPMs where they need to be. It's not just going to automatically upshift forever. Automatically went down into 3rd here. Going very slow. Might be a car holding us up or a cop or something. You can't hear the exhaust at all. You hear a little bit of an exhaust howl. It's a very hollow sound, kind of like whoa. I'm sure you can hear a little bit of it, but there really isn't much to talk about. This isn't a bike made for the sound, that's for sure. So it's not going to be appealing to people that like the BMW 1600s with that glorious exhaust note. This is for people that want to hear the radio or the CB or their buddies on Bluetooth. And it's very good for that. So here it's holding 3rd gear. I'm not doing anything with the transmission at this point. What I want to see is how well it actually downshifts, say, to pass somebody. Alright, so I'm in 4th gear, holding 45 miles an hour, full throttle. It doesn't downshift at all, so it just tries to go. Let's put it in manual and do a manual kickdown to see if it's any better. So 45 miles an hour, 3rd. That's definitely better. So if you really want the most out of your passing power, you've got to take control. So even in sport mode, the automatic isn't exactly what I would call sporty. But it's good. It's got a nice throttle response. It's still smooth. It's not what I would call jerky at all. Let's see what the other modes feel like. There's a rain mode, and then there's economy mode, or boring mode. Oh god, economy is like a slush box. That is horrid. That is for people that rarely use more than 10% throttle. I know, see now in economy here, it's going all the way up into 7th. And now we're down at basically idle, 45 miles an hour. Yeah, don't like economy mode. Rain mode I would expect to be a little down on power. Still goes a little higher, but not quite as high as economy mode. Throttle response doesn't feel quite the same. I would imagine it affects traction control too. See how it downshifts here. Yeah, feels the same. Very strange not having any kind of clutch coming to a stop. Control wise, I'll tell you, does not feel that heavy. Start to tip it over and you could feel the weight on your legs, but it takes a while. Very low center of gravity. Feels like a much lighter bike just sitting here, and it is a nice low seat. All the engine is forward and low, so for anyone vertically challenged, actually pretty easy to rattle. I'm going to go into tour mode. I have a feeling that's going to be kind of the compromise between sport and economy, where it'll actually use more gears but still shift a little aggressively. This is full throttle. So not exactly a speed demon. Wasn't pulling my arms out of the sockets or anything like that. There are a ton of faster bikes. This is not about speed. But I'll tell you, even though it's not, say, as fast as a BMW 1600 or an FJR or a Concours or even an R1200, it's faster than a Harley. It's faster than the Yamaha Cruisers, and a heck of a lot smoother. I, of course, have absolutely no vibration anywhere. I mean, it's literally like just sitting on your living room leather cushy couch watching a movie, and it's the world going by. That's it. That's exactly how it feels. Can't really feel the road at all. It's got big tires, it's got a really plush suspension, it's got a squishy seat, and that's it. Transmission here, Tour is actually a nice combo. It will go up, it won't hold the RPMs. I don't really like the sound of it up in the upper RPMs. I like it when it shifts down. Not that much difference between Tour and Sport though in the throttle response. I would imagine most people are just going to keep it in Tour mode. Let's finish off the ride here in Sport. So I said the number one thing not to do is when you're actually engaged in an automatic mode, don't blip the throttle at stop, because there is no blipping the throttle. Even though the bike is in neutral, the engine is not. It will go. Tips right into a curve, actually better than the old model. It feels a lot smaller than the old model. The old one was a combination of being a heavy bike, looking a heavy bike, and feeling a heavy bike. This one kind of hides it better. Brakes are very good. Nice firm lever. There's no squishiness to it. Same with the rear. Nice big brake pedal down there. Steering's very comfortable. I have a nice bend in my elbows. Very low bars. I've got a not quite sit up and beg because the arms are very low, but my back is perfectly straight. Very supportive seat with a nice hump back into the passenger rest. And of course, it's got that huge trunk. Very comfortable for a passenger. Now, they did make some changes that a lot of people aren't happy with coming off the old model. It's smaller. It's a lot smaller, especially storage wise. You can't even put a helmet in the side cases. You can't put two helmets in the trunk. So that kind of sucks. That's one of the features I love about my sport touring bike, is I can put full-size helmets in my side cases. Makes it very convenient. Another change is the passenger seat is a little smaller, and some people I know are complaining about that. So now I'm going to try the manual version, and of course the bike will be exactly the same, but I want to compare it. It's got a 6-speed manual. We'll see how the gearbox is and see which one I actually like riding better. I have no problems with this DCT. It is a really slick solution. I have no faults with it. It's just something that works and you don't have to think about it. And I think that's the best I can say about it. Alright, stand by. Time to switch bikes. Low speed handling on this, by the way, is a dream. I've been on bikes hundreds of pounds less that are more cumbersome. This is great. I see when you turn it off, the screen automatically goes down too. Not a fan of that unless it goes back up automatically to where you had it. Nope.
Thanks for riding, sir. If you have a moment, take our exit survey before you leave.
All right.
You put that in your pocket?
The camera?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What's wrong with it?
Liability issues. If you do something crazy or stupid out here that we told you not to do, you didn't get the briefing on the camera, so it's just a policy.
Okay.
So that really sucked. Kind of rude, actually. I don't know how much the camera caught, but Honda just came up and told me to take the camera off, claiming that people with cameras ride like assholes and do wheelies. On a Goldwing? Really, dude? Total bullshit. So, final thoughts. I would never buy the manual transmission. There's no excuse for how heavy that clutch is. It's almost like they made it intentionally heavy to sell more DCTs. There's nothing fun about shifting a manual Goldwing. Let me put it that way. Other than that, rode exactly the same.